As you already know, my name is Virani. I'm an amateur artificial intelligence engineer and physicist. And when I was younger, I was always that one kid who would ask a million questions. Not because I didn't understand something, but because I was fascinated by the world. I was fascinated with what we as humans had done with it. We had taken rocks and turned them into microchips, and it was absolutely fantastic. And when I was roughly 9, I found that one thing that was responsible for these miracles: technology. And it was love at first sight. I not only found programming and computer science absolutely enthralling, but when I used that technology to make my community, my family, a lot better, I knew I'd found that one thing I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I mean, it was that or my ability to consume a concerningly large amount of a certain sci-fi show. When I was roughly 12, I built my first app. It gave people a place to talk about particle physics online. And at that time, I had an epiphany. All great technology that has severely shaped human civilization, whether it's Facebook or the first computer, has one thing in common. It needs people, us, the public. And right now, the most important technology of the 21st century, artificial intelligence, or AI, needs people. So before I start talking about meshing humans and AI like some weird straight-home video Terminator movie, I should probably address the elephant in the room. What exactly is AI? Because it's a word that floats around absolutely everywhere. And the media always portrays artificial intelligence as some sort of mysterious force that will end the world as we know it. Well, I'm sorry to say that artificial intelligence is already ruining our lives, not by keeping us up at night with thoughts of HAL 9000. You'll get that if you're born before 2001, by the way. No, but with really how bad serious. Just so you know, all my jokes are corny, so you're just gonna have to get used to it. But I digress, because this technology is absolutely amazing. Yet it's the one that people know little to none about. Maybe that's because people think that artificial intelligence is that one topic from high school that always haunts us. I'm, of course, talking about math. But when you really take a deep dive into artificial intelligence, it becomes something a lot less scary and a lot more awesome. Artificial intelligence is something called a neural network. And neural networks are what data scientists use to mimic biological neurons with computational models. Well, what exactly does that mean? Well, we're essentially taking this and turning it into that. Now, we as humans input information, usually as images or sound, and then we process it using our own noggin, and then we output it as a thought. And neural networks do the exact same thing. They input information as images, they process it using algorithms and mathematics, and then they output it as a classification or a guess. But the most important function for neural networks is ability to train. Training is where neural networks take something called training data. Training data is accurately classified data that neural networks use to tune their algorithms over and over and over again. And essentially, the more training you have, the more accurate a neural network is. And that's it. That's artificial intelligence. That's neural networks. And this technology is absolutely everywhere, from your phone to making breakthrough research in the medical industry. In fact, The Guardian found that a computational neural network had a 95% accuracy when diagnosing different types of skin cancer, beating out standard practice's measly 85%. Their accuracy rate is absolutely astonishing. They're like Sherlock Holmes. Well, just without those sociopathic tendencies. And while this technology is absolutely amazing, it's still bound by limitations. And one of the biggest limitations and the biggest problems is something called the training data problem. Now, when you might assume that someone's building a neural network, you might think that they're furiously typing code in some sort of dark room all night. Well, it's actually not that. Well, it's 40% that, and 60% gathering training data. And training data, as I've mentioned, is previously classified training data that neural networks use to tune their algorithms, right? And the more training data you have, the more accurate a neural network is. But there's one big problem. You need a lot of training data, and I am talking about terabytes. Just trust me, that's a lot. So what do data scientists do? They do something called data scraping. Data scraping is where you go onto the internet and you just get tons and tons and tons of data. But there's one big caveat here. It takes days and weeks just to get enough data. And after weeks and weeks of data scraping, you can only have a neural network with maybe 70% accuracy. It's why this technology, while absolutely amazing, is kind of stupid. It's why WebMD thinks you have cancer when you really have the common cold. And of course, I'm talking about the most frustrating, even disgusting plague that is ruining your daily life: autocorrect. Yeah, autocorrect is the worst. But this has some life or death consequences. In fact, a study found that A&N, another computational neural network, had a 7% margin of error when diagnosing different types of life-threatening diseases. And 7% is absolutely outrageous and frankly unacceptable from this type of technology if we're going to tell someone whether they're going to live or die within the next year. It's frankly terrible. And this problem is absolutely everywhere. From big companies like Google to small businesses to my terrible, measly experiences. This problem stops the growth and the evolution of artificial intelligence and AI. So, what's the solution here? Well, I came up with one of the craziest ideas when working on a neural network of my own. I built an image classifier. And essentially, you would take an image of an object and it would tell you what that object is, and it would pull information from the internet. And while it would work sometimes, it wouldn't work other times. Yeah, that right there, that's a problem. I just realized that after weeks and weeks of data scraping, I just didn't have enough data. But then I had an idea. What if we use one of the most abundant resources on Earth? What if we use the 7 billion organisms constantly taking millions of photos and posting them on Instagram or Snapchat? What if we use people, real people, to send in training data? So I got right to work, working on training algorithms and neural networks for months on end, until I came up with an idea I like to call the neural community. And the neural community is actually a simple yet amazing idea. People send in anonymized training data. That's it. Of course, this requires a ton of technical know-how about how we use neural networks and training data and how we merge them together. But it does something no other neural network has ever done before. It brings humans into the mix, and it makes neural networks a lot better for it. In fact, after some quick calculations, rough, I found that neural networks with the neural community were 44% more accurate, 66% faster, and able to catalog 100,000 additional items. This essentially solves the training data problem. The only problem I didn't expect to encounter, where I was going to store those terabytes of data, yeah, that's an even bigger problem. But imagine the possibilities. Imagine having a catalog list of every object in existence, from a foreign photograph to an ancient ruin, because millions of people are sending in photographs every single day. Or as a patient, sending in an MRI or CAT scan to a neural network to decrease that margin of error from 7% down to 1%, and using that technology to diagnose irregular cancer tumors, essentially saving lives. And the neural networks of the neural community don't just do that. They bring together not only people and technology, but everyone. People regardless of age, gender, or location can use the neural community to make the world a better place. So, the neural community is coming soon, but it needs one thing. It needs you, the public. A neural community isn't a neural community if there's no community. We need people to send in training data. And while I'm sure some of you may think that humans and technology don't have the best mix, whether it's losing jobs or privacy issues, I disagree. We've always used technology to make the world a better place. But a mutually beneficial partnership between humans and technology could have unimaginable possibilities. I could talk about all the use cases, all the great solutions, all the amazing, cool things you'll get on your next phone. But essentially, if you want to change the world, make the world a better place, essentially make neural networks better in the process, and get some cool new features for your next phone, then we need you. And while I'm sure some of you are probably still weary that this will lead to some sort of Skynet-like disaster, and while I think that's a semi-apt description, and I appreciate the nerd reference, I think there's a better solution here. I think there's a better analogy. Because Steve Jobs once said, the most inefficient animal on Earth is the human. The most efficient animal is the condor. But a human with a bicycle becomes the most efficient animal. And the neural community is a 7 billion seater bicycle that we can use not to end our species, but to ride it to a better future. Thank you.